Hi there everybody, welcome to my first restoration project of 2024, and I've decided to cut out actually taking this out of its box because of all of this polystyrene and the little bits are going everywhere. So just give me a minute or two to get all this cleaned up and I'll be right back with you. Well, as you can see, it's a Roberts radio and it's an R707. It's got a badge on the top centre front, which I think makes it an early version. It looks in pretty good condition. It seems to have the original aerial and it looks very straight, no bends or twists. So let's just keep that safe. The control knobs, I've got the brights on them. Buttons. Maybe need a wee bit of lubrication. The front speaker grille looks in pretty good condition. When I look at the back, someone has added a DC power socket. Probably a wise precaution because the batteries are quite heavy in use, but it obviously detracts from its originality. But I think it's been well looked after and seems to be in relatively good cosmetic condition. So I'm just going to try and clean up the rest of it and we'll take it from there. So after cleaning all the polystyrene off, we're going to have a wee look inside. First of all, I was hoping to find the serial number and a wee paper sticker, but it doesn't seem to be there. The swivel seems to be a bit rough, maybe just need a bit of lubrication. Anyway, let's take the back cover off. Actually what you do is you unhook it and it swivels open, and there's the socket with only one wire attached, and in fact there's two wires flying around. And I just noticed in here a piece of paper which it seems to be a diagram of the socket. Okay, so it's got a common yellow. Yep, okay, it's got a brown mains and a black mains and a brown. So that's meant to be like that way. Anyway, I'll probably take this off in any case. And the mains lead, which presumably is plugging in, has got brown positive and blue negative. So the wire up a plug to go in with this using those two colours, and the wire up the socket. Or is it the other way around? Yes, this is the socket, that's the plug. Anyway, let's leave that aside. I shall probably be hooking up a power supply to this anyway. Looking inside, there's the label in here and I can see the serial number 12951. I don't know how that relates to which issue this is. I'm only going by the front centre badge and the black capped buttons, but I think it's an early issue. With the chassis removed from the casing, I applied some contact cleaner, or as we say in this trade, I gave it a wee scoosh, and also gave it a wee scoosh to the volume control. And when we're going to VHF, I'm getting RF, using my hand as an aerial, I'm getting a signal. But when I go into AM, there's not a lot of channel selection in there at all. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap this IF module, and there's something very sensitive in there, or about here. But with experience I've found that mostly it's this IF module causes a problem. So I don't really have much of a choice except to remove the IF module, have a look at the offending transistors, which are most likely an AF114, AF115, AF115 or something pretty similar. I think there's an audio hum, so it may be that one of these capacitors, or at least one, could do with replacement. Okay, and nothing else for it but to strip this down, get the IF module out, check the transistors and take it from there. I've removed the radio from its cabinet and there's a couple of plastic coated trims, so I'll just remove these as well. Here we go. Hooked up a temporary speaker and I've hooked up my voltage to the two wires, and now we're going to see what happens. One VHF, so act as an aerial. This is radio 2. Round about here should be radio 3. And then this should be local radio Scotland. Over here. I had it a wee while ago. It was there. And this should be radio 4.
Then it's a disappointment. Whereas if you think of the point that it's a beautiful foliage plant that occasionally gives you the cherry on top of a flower, I think it's not only a healthier way to think about it for yourself, it's actually a better way to
remove the switch bank. There are a number of jump leads that go from the switch bank to the main panel. They surround the switch bank here. Most of them are simple wire links. Some are coloured wires that go to the various stages. Round here is into your RF module. Some wires here go to the different aerial coils for your different wave bands, and over here mainly your AF and decoder output. So I've taken this apart a number of times and I always try and make sure that I know where the contacts are going, not just physically but electrically. And by that I mean that each of these wires can be identified, if I can get my circuit in focus, by dots. I'll try the RF stage, it might be more relevant. If you look carefully at the diagram, you'll see little things like, for example, here at number 42 there's a black dot there. This corresponds to one of the connections on the switch bank, and I think that it starts off here at about 23, then works its way around to get to 49, I think is up here. Maybe 40, I think it's 49. So I'm just going to take a note of all these wires, check that I know where they're going, disconnect them, remove the switch bank, and then I'll get access to the IF unit. I don't think you want to see me disconnecting all these wires, so I'll see you shortly. And here we are with access to the pins to the IF module. Most of them are being bent over. They have to be because the holes are adjacent to the solder strips on this side, but on this side the pins come through solder pads, so you have to be careful desoldering this side that you don't lift the track. Okay, so a nice wee struggle, but I got it out, and I think I only lifted one little piece of track, which is just there. I can't remember the numbers, at 12? That's easily bridged. Right, let's try and get the casing off and have a look at the transistors. Little flick. Off comes this pad, and then these two solder tabs, one on each end. And can you believe that after all that work, I found these transistors are not AF series. Someone has already refurbished this, but made no attempt to indicate that. That could have saved a lot of bother. I'm just going to get a magnifying glass and try and identify what these are. It turns out that they are AF11x's, which apparently are fairly robust and don't suffer from whiskers. And that means that I've really got to rebuild this whole set once again. Oh well, I'll check out and see if I can find anything obvious. However, I noticed this. See how slack that leg is there. And I did have some vibration problem when I was tapping the case. That probably turned out not to be the transistors, but definitely could be this link. That would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it? Okay, so maybe it's worthwhile after all. So I'm just going to apply some fresh solder to this. Then I think we're ready for reassembly, and then we'll try and get the radio working. So the question is, how many tries will it take to present the panel to the board and get the pins to find the correct location holes so that I can fit the panel back in? So, trying to view the pins through there. That looks okay, that looks alright there. And I final gentle push, and I've got all 11 pins through the panel. 5 on this side, 6 on that side. Or the other way around, 6 on that side, 5 on that side, depending which one you're looking at. It's now in, so I'm just going to bend this pin forward here, and this pin back here, and that will hold it in while I fix the rest. That was quite easy. Now that I've reinserted the IF board into the main panel, there is another aspect that needs to be mentioned, and that is that on this set of 5 pins coming from the IF module, there are 5 wire links that connect to the switch panel, and they have also to be connected. And the reason I'm saying this is because they're not on the outer ring of connections, but in fact are on an inner ring adjacent to the main set of connections that I saw earlier on. So I'm just going to wire these 5 pins in, quite simply. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This last one is a chassis connection, so it's not really needed because it's already connected. In fact, it might not be a chassis at all, I'm just waffling. Anyway, it doesn't have a wire link on it. So now it's time to fit the switch bank. The switch bank is held by 2 twisting lugs that go through these slots. I've straightened them up and hopefully, excuse me, that should just sit in there. Right, so now the problem is to try and get these lugs to tighten. Where is it? Lost it? Yeah. However, I found that if I got a 4mm box key, I think this will work. Give it a twist. Maybe I need a 3.5. Now comes the next fun part, that is rewiring all of these connections. Make sure I get them in the right place, in the right order, the right way. You get the idea. I'll see you soon. The grey goes there, green, white, orange, wire link, yep, yellow, grey, purple and capacitor, and the other grey. Yeah, I was just checking the wiring there as if I got the rest of it in, and the switches are working okay. So next thing I've got to do is just apply some power and see if it has been successful. So a little check, I've got a speaker lined up, positive onto the yellow, black to black, and let's see what happens. Well, at least we're getting some sound. We're getting channel change. Try VHF.
50, particularly in those days, was a scary set of exams, but designed to weed out
Radio 4. So after trying to tune in, I'll probably test it in an outdoor environment. Medium wave. Definitely trying to pick up things. Of course, the test that I really want to do is this. Steady as a rock. Okay, let's see if we can get a better reception somewhere.
First impression was only 11, but let me have it. Like wind through your...
Well, as I said earlier, reception in my shed isn't the best, but I'm getting stations in. There's something way at one end of the band that I can't remember what that is. But over here we've got radio 1 coming in-ish. Comes in at the door of my shed. Then I've got radio 4, radio 3, up here's Radio Scotland, and over here radio 2. It probably needs a good alignment, but I don't have the equipment for that yet. But I'll certainly do my best to get some later on. And the other thing I've done, get a station in again. I had one earlier on, there we go. Anyway, I've adjusted I've cleaned the tone controls to cut down a lot of the crackle. So, I think this can go back up together again. Obviously dry joints on those contacts. I did find another one that was suspect, so I resoldered most of them anyway. Put it back in, put a sticker on it so someone doesn't have to go to the same bothers I just done, and we'll get this up and running. Probably use it in my study somewhere. Right, let me get it together and then we'll have a final look before we put it away. Just before final assembly, I've taken the radio outside and just hooked up the batteries. I've hooked up the aerial, and I just want to see what difference it makes being outside. So let's switch it on. I'm on medium wave, AFC on.
It's a surge, but the number of reported cases is around 3 per 100,000 at the moment. Have the world.
Radio Scotland. Radio 3. And up here is Radio 2.
In Leicester.
Then a couple of the channels coming in. Up here is Radio 1, I think. Classical.
Because we all like getting our money's worth, and that's why I've only got 20 seconds to tell you about the McDonald's Sabre Meal Deals.
Not sure what that one is. And that is Radio Nightingale, the Gaelic Scottish programme. So medium wave's good, VHF is good. We'll try medium wave, which wouldn't work in the shed.
By football clubs being able to move players between one another to be able to overcome some of the governments that football, in my view, we can be. Oh, we got more than just enough.
In touch with the scabies discussion. Although I also thought I was going through menopause, I put off going to the gym. Leave the house. I was bleeding more days than not. It was during the lockdown, so it was awkward. I couldn't see my own GP. However, a long story short.
And long wave. Short wave, I have no idea what to expect. There's something there. Well, my little R707 definitely works. Still some cosmetic work to be done. I can get that later on. So here's the working R707, fully assembled, batteries inside, and I've also replaced the back panel, the one which had this extra DC socket. I've got another R707 which will appear in another video, which I'm going to withdraw because of a fault with the RF module. I even went to the trouble of exchanging the panels. So this is a panel for this radio and the back plate for another radio, but I've changed this, so this is the serial number 12951. There's still a lot of cosmetic work which I can do, cleaning, what have you, which I can do at some other point. Thing is, it's working and it's serviceable. It doesn't work in my shed too well, but it does work outside, as you saw earlier. So I'm going to give a big shout out to Radio Cruncher. He did a series on the R707 which I followed and I've benefited greatly. Other names, George Christophe, he did a lot of work as well, and I looked at Man Cave Radio, I think it's called Man Cave. Anyway, to all you guys out there who've gone before me, pioneered the way with these R707s, a great big thank you. And I'll be leaving comments on your sites as soon as I get this up and loaded onto YouTube. So, thank you all for watching. I've enjoyed the experience. I've gone back to radios. This is one of 3 R707s I have at the moment. How the other 2 do, I don't know. One of them definitely going to be withdrawn. The other I think is going to be working soon. So I'm going to have 2 on YouTube and see what happens after that. I've got 1 or 2 lined up for future and I'll let you know how that goes. So thank you very much for watching. Sort 6233 normally does trains, turning my attention to transistor radios and enjoying it. So until the next time, take care everybody, look after yourself, look after each other, and most importantly, enjoy life. It's a bye for now.